Good morning, everyone. In today's session, we are going to talk about the other models of communication that we left from yesterday. So, the first one being interactive model of communication. We need to understand what an interactive model of communication is. Largely, it includes interaction between the sender and the receiver. So, it follows a cyclical process, and it is very unlike the linear model. It's also called as the convergence model. We need to understand what convergence, the very word means. Convergence is basically coming together of multiple things. When there are different forms of media that come together, or there are different elements that come together, we call that form as convergence. Convergence is the word that is taken from the word converge, which is basically mixing up or coming together. So this interactive model of communication deals with exchange of ideas and messages taking place both ways from sender to receiver and vice versa. What it means is this process of communication follows a cyclical order, and it's not one way. It's not that only the sender is sending all the messages or sharing his or her thoughts or ideas, and the receiver is placidly just accepting whatever ideas or thoughts are being shared with them. Unlike that, in this particular model, in the interactive model, that's why we call it as the interactive model, because the receiver also plays equal significant role in this process or in this model. So it follows the order of sender receiving the sender sending the message to the receiver, and receiver sending the message again to the sender. So that's how the exchange of ideas and messages takes place, and it follows a process of interaction. The communication process takes place between humans or machines in both verbal or non-verbal way. So when two people or three people uh, interact with each other, engage with each other, we call that as verbal form communication if they talk orally. And when there are other ways in which, let's say for example, we are interacting with somebody through WhatsApp or on an email, or using a chat box, or we are talking to a bot, for example. So any kind of a communicational engagement between either human to human or human to machines or between machines um, follows this interactive model of communication. So there is no stopping here. There is the communication process is always in a continuum. Okay, this is a relatively new model of communication for new technologies like the web. So largely the new media or the internet based media follows this interactive model of communication. What are the key features? Let's look at it. Okay, on my left side you can see the diagram of how the process works. Sender through a particular channel sends the message to the receiver, and the receiver again through the same channel sends the message back, or the feedback to the sender. So what are the key features as mentioned in the slide? Used for new communications like internet. Like I told you, this is the newest model and follows the newest media, which is the internet medium. Slower feedback in turns. The feedback is relatively slow as against direct interpersonal communication. Third is concept of field of experience. Concept of field of experience, we are going to discuss about field of experience in some time, and why it is crucial. It's something that we have discussed earlier also when we spoke about the process of communication, but in a slightly different way. But more or less the meanings remain the same. Once I talk about the field of experience, you'll get to know why I was referring to it in a different context earlier in the sessions. Next is known as convergence model, because that the coming together of the sender, receiver, so on and so forth, and the communication becomes linear if receiver doesn't respond. So the communication process becomes linear even in the interactional model. The communication process becomes linear if the receiver doesn't offer the feedback or doesn't continue the conversation. So these are the key features. What are the advantages and disadvantages of the interactional model? First is feedback even in mass communication. The biggest advantage of interactional model is that the feedback is possible even in mass communication structures, because when you look at new media, internet based mediums, you would realize one thing, that now for example you read a news story and there is always a comment box below. So whatever you like or you dislike, or whether you agree with the content or you disagree with the content, you try to put it forward. So, and whoever has written that article or whoever has put forward that material would get an immediate response. Now you watch a film, you immediately review it, it's out there on the internet. So the makers or the people who value the kind of content or who create that kind of content, as a receiver, as somebody who is who is a part of the reception process, can also simultaneously contribute to meaning making or message making process. So feedback is possible in interactional model, even in mass communication. Then new communication channels. It opens up new communication channels. Like for example, at one point in time, nobody thought that social media would play such a significant role in the lives of people, right? People always considered media to be in a very traditional format, with newspapers, magazine, journals, television, radio, cinema, so on and so forth. But nobody thought that social media would play such a significant role by connecting people with each other from different parts of the world, by kind of inducing a space, or creating a space or offering a space to for any kind of stimulative engagement. So this very environment that it creates opens up new communication channel. You move from WhatsApp to Facebook, to WhatsApp, to Instagram, to Snapchat, um, so on and so forth. So more and more number of communication platforms and channels are opening up these days, and constantly you would see a lot of merger and convergence that is happening. The very fact that at this point in time you are consuming news on the news apps through your smartphones, or if you go to a website, it's a website which carries text, video, photographs, space for commenting or feedback. Remember, these are different mediums coming together, right? There is audio visual material, there is textual material, there are photographic materials, the so on and so forth. So interactional model follows a pattern where new communication channels would open up. um, what are the disadvantages? Feedback can take very long time. It need not, but feedback can take a very long time. It depends again on the receiver or the process of feedback. So there's a possibility of that. Then sender and my receiver might not know who the other person is. This is often happen. This often happens in mass communication, right? We spoke about it, that the sender would be at one part of the world, and those people who are consuming content or who are the receivers, they would be at the other end. So many a times, unless the receivers personally reaches out to the sender, many cases that might not be possible, because there are so many receivers as against the source or the sender. So when there is one source, it could be an institutional source or an individual source, or a particular individual who works as a sender and has a certain message to pass on. There are so many people who are consuming that message or consuming that content. So many times feedback becomes difficult, and because the sender and the receiver might not know each other, there could be some possibility of gap in terms of, or discomfort in terms of reaching out to each other. I mean, the process is at place, the medium is at place, the technology enables us to engage and interact with people whom we don't know who don't know each other. But the very fact that because they don't know each other might create a gap. Either the sender becomes non-responsive, or the receiver is in a state of discomfort to reach out to the other person. So those possibilities are there. Okay. So interactive model of communication focuses on the source's field of experience, as well as or the sender's field of experience, as well as the receiver's field of experience. We need to see what it means. Okay. Then there is an encoder, source, decoder, then there is a decoder, source, encoder. Remember, this follows a cyclical path, right? So different types of communication models based on the interactive model of communication are, we are going to first look at this. First is the Osgood-Scram model of communication. Okay, it is built on the theory that communication is a two-way street with sender and receiver. Like the sender and the receiver plays very significant role in the process of communication, and it's always a two-way process as far as Osgood-Scram's model of communication is concerned. So there is Wilbur Scram, who is a communication theorist, and then there is Charles Osgood popularized the notion that communication is circular rather than linear. So in the linear format, the primacy is given to the sender, whereas in the circular format, both sender and the receiver play equal role and into the message and the meaning making or the content generation process, meaning that it required two participants at least taking turns sending and receiving the message, as you can read in the slide. Okay, so at least two participants, one could be a sender, one could be a receiver, and they need to take turn in order to create messages and pass on to each other. So I say something to you, you respond back to me. So when you are responding back to me, understand that you are continuing the cycle. You are continuing the cycle of content generation, conversation, discussion, how so you want to put it forward. So this is crucial that you understand that in Osgood's model of communication, or in this particular model of communication, in the interactive model of communication, at least two participants are required who are constantly taking turns in order to continue this process of sending and receiving messages. Okay. Field of experience. We need to understand what field of experience possibly means. Okay. Field of experience, incorporates what is mutually understood between the sender and the receiver. So now that sender and the receiver both are stakeholders in this model of communication, you need to understand that both need to be almost at the same page when they're engaging or conversing. If they are not, like for example, the example that is given here, okay, a professor of calculus would have very little luck communicating important math principles to a class of kindergarten students because they do not share a field of experience that makes the message easy to understand. This is something I spoke about in a different way the other day when I was discussing about how certain films work and certain films doesn't. Right? I gave you an example of No Smoking and why a film like No Smoking is received widely and critically across Europe and America, and why it failed to make an impression in India, largely because the style of filmmaking was European in nature. The drama was surrealistic, something that we as audience or consumers are not familiar with. So this is not our field of experience to understand. Unless you are an art student, unless you are somebody who is a cinephile or with a lot of exposure of watching surrealistic cinema, for example Tarkovsky or Buñuel, for example, you might not be able to connect to a film like No Smoking. So the receivers field of experience need to somewhere match the sender's field of experience. The sender, with all his or her good intent, is trying to offer you a certain kind of content, so you would only be able to consume, assimilate, comprehend, and then contribute to the cyclical process of communication by offering your feedback only when you find the content relevant. And you would find the content relevant if only you can engage with it in a better way. And your engagement is directly dependent on what has been your field of experience or what has been your field of exposure. If you go back to the earlier sessions, I did speak about it in a different way. Remember that your exposure will define what kind of content you are going to assimilate, comprehend. So many a times the engagements get disrupted because the receiver might not be able to connect to the sender's materials or the message or the content. So field of experience plays a very significant role, in this interactional model, because you can only interact or engage with people if they and you both are at par in terms of the knowledge level or in terms of the access to literacy or access to exposure. So uh, the very fact that there are only niche audience or niche readers or niche viewers or listeners in a when there is a particular material that is put out there, it's because a lot of people cannot connect with it, and vice versa. A populist message or a populist content is well appreciated by everyone because it is toned down to match the intellect or the intelligence level of those people who are consuming it. So it depends on what kind of content you are creating constantly and what you want to say or speak or engage about. So as a content creator or as a sender or as a source, it is always my prerogative to understand who my target audience, who my target readers, listeners, viewers are. Okay, I'll create content for them um, in the same way. The way a 5-year old is going to make sense of a newspaper editorial is going to be very different than a political science professor from some college or university who is familiar with the theories, who is familiar with what is happening across the society and can read into the technical nuances of uh, that form of writing, as against a 5-year old who has barely started to understand the combination of letters and the formation of words. Okay, so so that this is largely what it is, the interactional model. So there is an encoder, there is an interpreter, there is a decoder. So as per Osgood and Scram, they came up with this diagrammatic format in order to explain what an interactional model is and why it is not linear. As you can see, it follows a certain cycle, so it is definitely not linear, and it's a cyclical process, and it is constantly in continuum. So encoder, interpreter, decoder. So the source plays these three key roles of encoding, of interpreting, of decoding later. So the code, the source or the sender is encoding a certain message which has to be decoded by the receiver, has to be interpreted after decoding, under what I constantly talk about when I say that you have to understand or comprehend or assimilate the message. Unless you do so, you would not be able to offer any kind of a feedback. So in order to offer a feedback, you have to again encode that message. For example, there are two people. Okay, two people are writing. There is an author who has written a book. Okay, and the book is also in an encoded format, and the book is the content or the message, and it's passed on to the readers. So the readers are going to read that book, understand and interpret what are the meanings, what are the lines between the meanings, so on and so forth. And then if a reader is being able to connect to the book, and he or she wants to interact or engage with the author, so what he or she is going to do is draft a message or write a letter, as it would happen in the traditional way, or find the email address of the author and write a long mail. So this drafting of the email or whatever they want to say, which would become an individual response or a review of that book, is also following the pattern of encoding, right? So you are also, as a reader, you are also encoding that material and then passing it on. So the receiver now becomes the encoder and passes on the message, and then the sender becomes the decoder of that message. After decoding, he or she, the sender, source, author, as far as this example is concerned, then tries to interpret it and again responds. So this sort of a continuous process is followed, and that's why it is called an interactive model of communication, right? So in this circular model, the communication is something that is circular in nature. So who is an encoder? Who does encoding or sends the message? Where the message originates, the source. Okay, who is the decoder? Who receives the message? Who is the interpreter? The person trying to understand, analyze, perceive, or interpret. Often it's the receiver or the sender, either way, whoever is taking turn to post decoding, trying to interpret the material or the message or the content, is constantly using his or her cognitive values to understand and analyze uh, what material it is, and what kind of content it is, and how to make meaning out of it. So from the message starting to ending, there's an interpretation process that goes on. Interpretation process that follows the cyclical order of understanding, of engagement, of how to constantly analyze the content that is there. And that's why there are different variety of analysis that are offered on different, on even on similar content. So because people are reading into the material in their own ways. Remember, each person's field of experience, irrespective of whether they are the sender or the receiver, is going to vary. The way I am going to understand or interpret, any textual material, be it a photographic material, be it an audiovisual material, or be it just a textbook, is going to be radically different than how you are going to perceive or understand. Let me just give you another small example. For example, if you are born and raised in, let's say, Nigeria, and I am reading a book about Nigeria, because of your lived physical experiences, you might have a relatively better understanding to read into the text far more than I could, because whatever interpretation I would have would be very personal and would be largely from an imaginative point of view, as against yours, who has already traveled to this place and has already experienced the place in its own physicality. So whatever you would bring into your interpretation, or anybody who, as a receiver or a sender, would bring into their interpretation, is going to be largely different than the other. So interactional model, remember, key things are there is encoding, decoding, and interpretation that happens, and it is a circular model, and sender and receiver both play equally significant role in the same process. Dan's helical model of communication, another interactional model of communication. So what is it? Let's see. Frank Danz proposed a communication model inspired by a helix in 1967, also known as the helical model of communication. A helix is a three-dimensional spring-like curve in the shape of a cylinder or a cone. So helix is compared with evolution of communication of a human since birth to existence and existing moment. Helical model gives geometrical testimony of communication. The model is linear as well as circular, combined, and disagrees the concept of linearity and circularity individually. Okay, so this is interaction. This is how Frank Danz offered his, offered his insight into this model. So the communication is taken as a dynamic process in helical model of communication, and it progresses with age as our experience and vocabulary increases. Okay, so he nullifies the whole idea that it is, the communication process is neither linear nor circular in nature. He says it's a dynamic process. What's a dynamic process? A dynamic process is always something that is a work in progress sort of a thing. It follows change, it follows transformation all the time. So depending on external and internal factors, the communication process takes shape. Okay, so here he offers some sort of a communicational geometry to us in the form of a helix. So what he says is, with our age and our experience, our vocabulary to understand. When I talk about vocabulary, I'm not referring to word-based vocabulary alone. I'm talking about cultural vocabulary, I'm talking about social vocabulary, I'm talking about political, economical vocabulary. The very fact that you can read into different phases of life, real time, and those kind of materials, and your exposure that you have over a period of time, all those things contribute somewhere to the communication process, and it follows that. Okay, so looking at a human being, the very evolution process right from beginning, he offers insight, and he said the child, communication evolves when you are as a kid. Then after some years, the communication continues. After many years, communication continues and grows, depends on the past experiences. You can bring in your baggage, you can bring in your exposure. Like I told you, the very fact that you are born or raised in Nigeria as against somebody who grew up in the eastern part of India. So you are bringing in those elements into the conversation. You are bringing in those elements into the interaction process of the communication. Then the current day or the existing day communication continues with modifications. How you are constantly adapting or readapting to the process of communication while interacting or engaging with different kind of people. For example, the very fact that I am in a stage where I understand that if I have to do some kind of a knowledge transfer, I'm going to do it to you this way, as against if I'm talking to a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old. If I have to explain what communication is to a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old, I'm going to follow a radically different process than this. So the very fact that I can differentiate that, okay, I can talk to you about communication models and different processes of communication in this way through this presentation, and if I have to follow the process, follow a different process for a 5-year-old to explain the same thing, that why communication is important and why it is important to engage in communication, and how communication is a dynamic process, not a linear one or not just a circular one. I would create different kind of a treatment. I would create a different kind of a pattern or style or a design in order to interact or engage with them, so that they can comprehend with their understanding. They can comprehend that. So as and when they progress, they would understand with their experiences that the communication process always follows a continuum, and there are modifications that happen from time to time. So this follows the order. So as you can see, at the bottom is the child, and at the end he or she grows like a helix. Okay, it follows a circular one, it also follows a linear one, but there is an expansion of knowledge that always follows a very significant aspect of how you look at the process of evolution. The process of evolution is consistently dependent on how we engage or how we navigate through different kind of initiatives that we take for ourselves in order to access material, in order to analyze or evaluate material, and then engage in different forms of communication. And those things are possible because we are constantly trying to thrive, to expand our knowledge base, which is dependent on whatever material you are being exposed to, and whatever material you are creating or co-creating over a period of time in order to contribute to the educational database or contribute to the communication framework. So the very fact that you are interested to explore would help you understand that how you have evolved over a period of time. So I would stop here, and this finishes the all the models of communication. So I hope the session has been useful for you, and then I'll see you in the next session. Thank you so much.